I've got another story for you. Back in 1990, I worked for a small software development company, and I was one of the developers, but I also took care of packaging the software once it was developed, writing up the instructions on how to install it and support it, and then would contact the end user to actually walk them through installing it, setting it up, supporting it, and being their remote tech person. This was one benefit of being at a small company to begin with. I learned so much about the entire process. It helped me a lot in my career. And one of the more important parts of my particular role was writing the instructions on how to install it, because we did not write software for IBM PCs or Macintoshes or Windows. We wrote for Unix systems. And Unix systems used a kind of like a DOS prompt type interface, command line interface, and they had some different kinds of commands than someone who is familiar with IBM PC DOS might be familiar with. So for example, on DOS, if you wanted to copy from your floppy disk to the hard drive, you might type copy space A colon asterisk dot asterisk space C colon asterisk dot asterisk. A terrible way to do it, but you could do that. And it would go from the floppy disk to the hard drive, the C drive. But in Unix at the time, we did a command that read like this: cpio-ict less than /dev /fd0, and then the specs of the drive. I can't remember all the numbers. That's the way you indicated which drive you wanted, which was the source, what was the device you wanted to use, and you use CPIO. You know, it was complicated. I jump on a call with one of my customers who's actually the administrative assistant for the company that needs the software installed that I had just packaged out and sent out. I sent out 3 floppy disks, like the one in the stitch image there, and we began the process. We both had a copy of my instructions. We began to walk through it. First, we did a system backup, and there was tape drive stuff and all this. Well, all the commands were there. We're going through step by step. I'm logged into her system so I can kind of see what's happening from the system point of view. She's handling it from her point of view, and so walking through a lot of the actual physical steps. And for some reason, I had her typing out all the commands, although I could have done it. I think one of the reasons was to give her the confidence in doing this. It's one of the goals. So as we're going through the process, we got to the point where we could start installing the first disk, and we did that. So you would insert the first disk, close the drive, and then you would type cpio-ict less than /dev /fd012 something. So this worked beautifully, worked great. And I looked, and everything looked good from the system point of view. So we go to the next step, and it was insert disk number 2, and run the command again, cpio-ict, and so everything was working great. And so I'm like, we're almost done. I mean, this is so close to being done, it's not even funny. And so I say, okay, go to the next step. And she says, I can't, the drive is full. And I freaked out because, you know, these hard drives are about 20 megabytes at that time. Very, very small. But we're not installing a lot. A 5 1/4 inch floppy disk can only hold 1.2 megabytes of data. So I'm like, well, what is going on? So I go in, I take a look at the system, DF, to do a disk free to see what's happening, and there's plenty of space. And I'm like, what is going on? And so I say, can you try again? And I don't hear typing. And I'm like, wait a minute, I don't hear typing. I said, can you tell me the last steps that did work? And so she said, yeah. So we did the first disk, and then I inserted the second disk, and then ran the commands again. The drive made a little noise at that time, but it did work. And then when I got to the third disk, I couldn't fit the third one in because there was no more space. And I said, oh, could you hold for a second, please? And I died laughing, obviously. I mean, the hold button is such an essential factor for peace among mankind and maintaining business relationships, because had I not had the hold button, I couldn't have waited any longer. I would have burst out laughing, not at her, at the situation. Because in that next moment, as I'm laughing and I'm catching myself and realizing that I had made a grave mistake, because I gave her detailed instructions on what she needed to do step by step, keystroke by keystroke on everything that she needed to do to accomplish this goal. And I left out a crucial step. So I go back to the line and I say, I'm so sorry. I just read over my documentation and I've confirmed I have left out an important step. And I apologize for this. So where it says insert the first disk, run CPIO-ICT, and then the next step where it says insert the second, I left something out. I left out remove the first disk and replace it into the protective sleeve and set it aside somewhere safe in case we need it later. And I said all that just to kind of cover up that I said remove the disk, right? And immediately she knew what she had done, that she had assumed that you keep inserting until you're done because the instructions didn't say to take out, but now she realizes you have to take out. But this was not her fault. This was on me. I'm the one that gave her the step-by-step instructions. I'm the one that was telling her, let's follow these steps and you'll get through this assignment. I assumed that it was clear what you had to do. And by leaving out that step, even though if she saw the step of remove, she might have said, of course you remove it, but she didn't know that at that moment. And so it fell to me to be the one to tell her, and I didn't tell her. I did tell her eventually. But the other thing I didn't do is I didn't laugh at her. I didn't think of her as an idiot. I thought of myself as learning a lesson. And it has a lot to do with empathy. It has to do with appreciating the role that I'm in as a technical person with non-technical people. I'm providing a service, they're providing my paycheck. And one of the things I have to do is communicate well, because just because I know what words to use, for my own benefit doesn't help if the person hearing them doesn't know those words and what they mean. I have to be able to communicate to them so that they understand what I'm seeing in my head. Huge lesson. And it's not even about tech, right? This is about everything. This has to do with in relationships when we assume the other person knows what we're talking about when we didn't expressly say it. We just assume they've got to know what I'm talking about. No, they don't. No, they don't. They don't have to know. They may be kind of on pins and needles, hoping they don't make a mistake. And by not seeing an instruction, they assume they don't need to do something, or they assume that they shouldn't do something, that they should just do it exactly as being prescribed. And when we assume or presume upon them that they have to know the hidden steps that we did not say, we do ourselves and we do them a huge disservice. See, it's really not about tech, is it? Yeah. Listening, empathy, these go a long way. That lesson has helped me my entire career, whether I have been in direct support of customers or not. I've always been in a supportive role, whether I've been the team lead, I've been the mentor or the mentee, there's always a supporting role to be had. And I never forget that experience.